Think of it like this. Had you never been born to your parents, you would still be the same consciousness in a different body. That may be hard to believe, but the same consciousness is born in every being. Being conscious itself is what it is. Consciousness. Being consciousness. Now you're a being with consciousness. And you come into the world, you've been born to a family. If you would have been born with a different father or a different mother, the same consciousness would have been there, but you would just think completely different because you would have been exposed to completely different things in life. And that exactly is how it works. Think about yourself now and try to contemplate, think, act, and deliberate through your own mind the way you used to 10 years ago. You'll realize that you don't approach things the same way from your own mind because of your own experiences in life. Your own opinions have changed. Your own preferences and likes have changed. So when people say, there's no change, and I'm never going to change, and people are never going to change, they're wrong. Completely wrong. They're lying to themselves because they don't want to make any effort. I know that it's hard to change the things that you've developed habits of doing, but if we want to become better people, which deep down, of course, we all do, we just don't want to word it because we don't want to sound stupid to our friends and family and peers. We don't want to sound stupid by saying, I want to be a better person and I want to continue to grow in consciousness. I want to continue to grow in health. Talking like that, for some reason, makes people offended this day and age. But if you were telling someone you were trying to get as fat as you could, or you wanted to learn how to be a sharpshooter so you could blow the head off of somebody from 600 miles away, they'd be like, wow, cool. See how backwards our world is? That comes from upbringing. So back to what I was basically saying is that if you were born to a different person, you would still be the same exact being. You would be me. You would have just had different experiences leading you to have the conclusions you have now. Now I'm telling you, I'm completely awake, and since I have my own personal background experience, I do have details to my Dan story. But I am awakened beyond my own ego, and I have and do remember existence in its entirety, forward and backward. But there are so many variables and details that trying to pick out one thing and go into all their lengthy storylines, all the way into space and down into past history, none of that will help anybody. Plus, it will take way too long to do any of it. If we want to move forward as beings living here, conscious, in a world that's physical with spiritual matter involved, then we truly need to prioritize what we think is important and find out what really is important. This is a good example of how people can be good on certain levels, but then just be disconnected to some degree on how it would work. This lady is a very nice lady. You can tell that she has quite a bit of money, and she says, I try to do what I can to help others out. I try to donate when I can. I try to find ways to help, but I don't really have all that extra money to be putting towards things if I don't know what's going to be done with it. And I'm like, I get that. I wouldn't want to donate my money to just some random thing. But now, if you really tried, you could reach out to people personally and do things like that. And she's like, I don't have the time or the money to invest in any of that. And she kept talking about the money part of it. And because she was talking about the money part of it, I had to say, because she was buying a thing that was doggy day spa, and she spent like $40 on dog stuff that was just doggy day spa, little shampoos for her dog, and a little outfit for her dog, some toys for her dog, a little thing for her dog that her dog doesn't need. Not trying to nitpick, but if you say you don't have extra money to invest, I'm sure this isn't the first time you ever splurged on things you don't need, like $40 in dog day spa stuff. Do you need that? Because you specifically said you don't have any money to put towards other stuff when it comes down to it, because money's hard to come by. And then you come and she bought a bag of Lay's potato chips and milk and butter and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, do you really need this stuff? And I'm not trying to make it difficult for you. I'm just trying to say, did you need this convenient bag of chips? Did you need $40 worth of doggy day spa? There's people that you want to help, but you can't help them because you don't have the money to help them, but you have $40 to blow on just your dog. I'm not trying to nitpick, but like I said, that specific occasion had that as somebody saying, I don't have the money, but then they were blowing money as they were saying it. That's where there's levels of it. She's a good person, but isn't thinking clearly about it. If you have to walk around on eggshells in a relationship, it's not going to work. If you have to make sure that your significant other wouldn't get mad about you doing this or doing that, or you acting like yourself, and you always have to put on an act to make them happy, that's not going to work. But there are too many people out there that are so infatuated with somebody that they'll act like somebody that that person wants until they start showing them true selves, and then they wonder why their relationship didn't work out. You weren't being yourself. You should mess up all the way. And if you can work it out with the person you're with, then that's a true relationship. If you have to act a certain way and they can't accept anything, then it's not going to work, obviously. But so many people are trying to get some skins and get some sex that they're not thinking about whether this person is actually a good person for you or not. Or if they're a person that you actually agree with and that you want to be around. Or do you just want to put on an act so you can get rewarded with the things that you want from them? That's absolutely the wrong kind of relationship, but that's 99% of them these days. Most people are staying together because of a paper or because they have kids, not because they love each other. And they're not willing to work it out because they don't know what they themselves are here for. And they don't know what their own purpose should be. They have to make it up for themselves when it comes to what we do on earth while we're here. But there is only that one purpose that we're here, is to work through all our issues. And instead, people create more for themselves and for their families and for the people they know and for the people they don't know by being ignorant about what they do and causing more problems for other people to clean up. That's what's going on in our world on a very small scale and a very huge scale. It would be nice if we could get some people to think deeper. For instance, somebody came in and they're part of the driveline crew and they were telling me how we don't have enough carts for them to do their job, and damn it, they need to be able to do their job. We've got to make sure that they have the right amount of product here so that they can get their stuff done. You know, if we don't have carts, then they can't take the stuff off the shelves and move things around like they need to. And it's really inconvenient for them, inconvenient for the customers, inconvenient for the employees. And I'm like, I know that. What do you want me to do? I don't make shopping carts. We've ordered them. But then she kept talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. I'm like, I know that we need them, but I don't know why you're going on telling me about it, because we've already asked. They're not doing anything about it, and they just expect us to do things however we have to do them to make it work. I get it. With that being the case, see how the people that are supposed to be the ones that are in charge don't really do anything unless they really have to, and they will cut all the corners they can. That's obvious. We all know that. But then she's going on to, I have to have enough money to pay my taxes and to pay my electric and to pay my gas bill and to pay this bill and that bill. And I'm like, don't you realize that that is the actual crime of this all? So instead of you saying how you need this and you need that so you can get your job done and pay those bills, you're defending your own enslavement by saying, well, yeah, what you're saying makes sense. I get what you're saying, but we still have to. No, we still have to until we take that big step of standing up for ourselves and doing what is really right in an actual reality that we have. And we have a world right here where everybody's literally living unreal and thinking it's real. That's the problem. Have we really been doing it, like going through those actions? Yes. Did we have to? No. Have we been being lied to and manipulated? Yes, all the way, completely. Does that mean we should just allow it to happen and keep cooperating the way that it has been? No. Does it mean that you should work your ass off and pay your taxes and pay your bills because other people confiscated actual things that nature supplies everybody and act as if it's theirs to control? And it isn't. We have to learn to stand up to that. That's what we are really here to do for our loved ones, unless you just want them to work their asses off and pay their taxes too. That sounds like a shitty parent or a shitty example of a person, and it's nobody's fault. They were brought up that way too. But we've really got to search our souls deeply and do something better. I don't think enough people realize that the life they live is so far out of their control. From the time you're born, you have things that are required of you, that are placed upon you by other people. The lifestyle we all have right now is a lifestyle enforced by people most of us will never meet. They just make rules, people follow them, they're taught not to ask questions, so they don't. And then when they start asking questions, other people get mad and defend the people who keep them enslaved. How backward is that? Most people just don't have a clue how out of control their life is. Yes, they can have some hobbies. They can choose what habits they get into. But if they don't have enough money, they can't support those habits in the first place. So therefore, they're forced to live by a means of money, which means nothing. Never has, never will. And until people see that, there's really no progress to be made. I can't stand repeating myself, but there's nothing else that needs to be done besides taking control of our own lives. That's all that needs to be done. Other than that, who's going to tell you what to do? Put those two questions together. You need to take control of your own life. And once you do that, no one can tell you what to do unless you ask them or seek for advice. But until then, you're always going to have to qualify for some other person. God never requires that of you, ever.